I wanted to create a place where the trials and tribulations of life become transformative testimonies. A place where everyday individuals from all walks of life courageously open up about the challenges that have passed and the challenges that will last. A place to celebrate the beauty of faith, the resilience of the human spirit, and the profound impact of sharing our journeys with one another. I'm Heather Patterson. Welcome to Blood, Sweat, and Tears. I am over the moon right now, like with chill bumps, because I have a very dear and special friend. And when I just said that, that made my eyes tear up. Kathryn Flores with us today. And she's going to share her testimony and just kind of what's been going on in the recent years of her life. Some of it I know, but a lot of it I don't. So I'm just sitting here on edge and waiting to hear all the things and all the ways that God has moved in your beautiful life. And so thank you so much, sweet friend, for being here.
Well, thank you. And not surprised that you kicked this off. And this is certainly your calling.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Before we do get started on your testimony, there's something I do want to share. What was it? Almost 15 years ago, Kat started this incredible organization around the area of Dallas, Texas. And it's called Mission Moms. And I just kind of wanted you to share a little bit about that and why you did that. And then let's just kind of roll into your testimony.
Because that definitely walks right into how this kind of came about. But, my whole life I was raised in the church. I have 6 ministers in my family on my mom's side, and church was no secret, right? But it was probably more of routine than really leaning into the feels of it all that I think our faith kind of helps us walk through as we get older, for sure. But Mission Moms started with just a bunch of ordinary friends in a kitchen complaining about mom life and how we're failing miserably. And I thought for a minute, with my boys at that point, they were, 2 and 5. They needed sweat to be able to feel and really learn from whatever the consequence was. So sometimes it was run a lap, sometimes it was run up and down the stairs, and then we talk, right? So with Mission Moms, I wanted them to really think outside themselves and help someone else. I didn't really care who or how or what that looked like, but I had become dear friends with the counselor at Evans Elementary School. He was 5. And asked her, is there maybe one family that could use some help the holidays? Maybe this was October. And she's like, sister, sit down. One family. How do you even choose? Like, her caseload was incredibly long. And I was quickly educated on the affluent area I thought I lived in and what reality was, right? So just a bunch of ordinary people, we really stumbled upon an extraordinary opportunity to serve and to teach our kids to serve. So at that point, we would get our kids to a place to help deliver
kind of
food,
get outside of that bubble,
and give back
through
the schools. Yeah. But we really wanted them to do the work. So it wasn't always pretty, making bags of food and wrapping gifts. There was a lot of tape and there was a lot of wrinkled up, packages at Christmas. But fast forward 15 years later, and it is muscle memory for my own kids. And I'm hearing one by one little snippets of stories that is also kind of taking flight in people's own homes. And super shout out that this year, this May, so next month, we will graduate the first kind of class that came through Mission Moms. And so we are super duper excited to see so many of these kids, just high risk kids, having some opportunities in their lives. And so it becomes so much more than food. They become people that we see at birthdays. They become the phone call that we get if there's something good or bad going on. And we're super duper excited. So this is Evan's graduating class is graduating, and we're super excited.
That is so fantastic. I'm so proud of you. And I do remember you telling me, you were like, I feel like God is telling me to do this. I feel like God is telling me to do this. And who would have ever known where you would be right now, 15 years later?
Well, I mean, you're looking in the mirror while you say that. Look at you. So it really does just take something to grab hold of you. And yes, that came about through a group of friends, but faith was never far from me, but it probably took, just over 3 years ago for me to really and truly walk it and see his impact in my life. So it's really an interesting thing, I think, faith, right? I mean, we're no strangers to it as we grow up, especially those of us whose parents tried so hard and to get us in those churches and to sit in those pews. But I never felt it until you were in a situation that he called
and
you
he
into
becomes your only
for
hope,
a reason.
right?
Mm-hmm.
You're on your
Mm-hmm.
knees. So what did that situation look like?
So, 3 years ago this January, so just over 3 years, everything had looked so good, right? So, healthy boys, pandemic. But for me, the pandemic was awesome because our nonprofit work really got to explode. So, I was loving the pandemic. It was fantastic. My family changed a lot, married for, I think, 15 years at that point. And we decided, together that we weren't each other's person. And so that was changing. And then I decided, okay, it's the end of the year in December. I have a nagging, college soccer back and needed to get that taken care of. And so a scheduled back surgery in December turned horribly wrong. And 3 back surgeries later, I was told, you may not ever walk again. But at this point, we've got you.
And this is
I was septic.
In the middle of going through a divorce,
Everything.
right?
Yeah. I'd had back surgery before, so I was no stranger to it. This one went from 1 to 3 in a short period of time, just problem after problem. And on that second one, a staph infection entered the wound, and I walked out of the hospital post-op just like I always had. And the next morning I woke up and knew something was really, really different. I called my parents in Houston. My mom came up. I have never asked for help. She knew something was seriously wrong. So I went from kind of walking gingerly out of the hospital post-op to a walker the next day, to holding on to counters, to no longer walking on day 3. And my surgeon, unfortunately, just thought, oh, it's trauma. You've had, a couple back surgeries back to back. You need a rest. You need to let your body heal. You need to take some muscle relaxers and pain pills and all of these things to let your body heal. And I said, no, something is wrong. And when I say, y'all, the pain, it was excruciating, debilitating, shaking, sweating, screaming pain. I'm no tiny person, so to be able to get up took a lot of us screaming, yelling. When you think of those bite on leather movie moments we've all seen, it was that. My mom sat there. I looked at her. She's got tears rolling down her face. Joe and I were in a rough spot, but he's still family. He's crying. And trying to hide all this from my kids was so hard. But found out later that pain was really an infection eating me literally from the inside out. So it ate through a small portion of my spine, and at that point ran through my body.
Did that start after the surgery? The infection started from the surgery?
It did.
Okay.
It did. Mm-hmm. So in every pain medicine and every, sleep aid and everything that was thrown at me, I was awake for 10 days straight, screaming, crying, begging. We were given an okay to kind of layer some medicines. So it was, maybe a pain pill, a muscle relaxer, and some sort of sleep. I can't really remember. But none of it worked. And there was the night on night 10 that I remember screaming in the night. And my mom comes in, and thank God I could not walk. Had I been able to walk, I never would have screamed out. My mom came in and I asked her for every one of the pill bottles because I was done. I said, there is no humanly way I can take another breath. Every breath hurt. And so it really is a godsend that I couldn't walk, because had I been able to walk, I would have taken every one of those pills. And, I think it opened an opportunity for me too. I've always been soft and empathetic, and I try to be fierce and hard, but I'm not, right? And so I think it opened up an opportunity to me to relate more with people, especially through pain. I've talked to a lot of veterans that go through addiction and different things. I get it. I get it. You will do anything. I would have done anything to make that pain stop, including in my life. And I begged for it and begged for it. I was like, Mom, somebody has to do something. This is not okay. I cannot breathe. I
Wow.
couldn't breathe. Heaven forbid you sneeze. Imagine now knowing every nerve that runs through your spine is fully exposed. So there's no spinal cord, there's nothing protecting it. So it was constantly firing pain.
I can't fathom. No, I can't
nonstop.
fathom.
And so my mom said to me, Kathryn, let's just layer the medicine. Let's layer. I said, Mom, like we've tried. It doesn't work. I'm done. Let me go.
Wow.
Let me go. I'm done. And she just
and
cried
then just
and cried.
like that
and
conversation
finally,
between a mother and a daughter, just that watching her baby. Yeah.
And she finally was just so insistent that I try and again, I think it was maybe a muscle relaxer, a nerve stimulant, maybe that's what it was, and a pain pill. And I did. And I took it and I fell asleep for the first time in 10 days. I slept for maybe 3 or 4 hours. And then I woke up feeling at least myself mentally, definitely not physically. I was still in horrific pain, but I said, okay, let's get the boys to school. When you get back, we will call. And I listed off your control room of people and let's get them in here. Everybody on the phone, call every connection you have. And I've got to get to a doctor today. And so call after call was, we can get you in March, we can get you in. And I'm like, this is end of January. I'm not going to make it another day. I'm not. And lo and behold, we had a very kind nurse answer the phone at this place. No one knew, cold call. And my mom was talking to the nurse and she said, that's horrific. I'm so sorry. Something is really wrong. And someone finally listened and she said, here's what you need to do. And mind you, it's during the pandemic, right? So everything's weird. Hospitals are weird. People really don't know what's going on. She says, drive downtown to Dallas, go in through the ER, do this. And our Dr. Payne, Payne.
That's appropriate.
Shout out to him. Will be there. He's on call. He will be in surgery, but tell him that he's expecting you. So we did all of that and we finally get to a room and girl, the steps that it took to get me in that car. First, the nurse said, do you want me to call an ambulance? And I said, yeah, there's no way I can do it. And finally I said, Mom, let me just try one more time. And that's when, mind you, I'd been carried to the bathroom. I'd been like my just pride.
No pride left.
From
Nothing
me
left.
Days before. And I said, let me just try. Let me try to get in the car. It's too expensive. It's too much attention. Like I didn't want neighbors talking, So I got on that walker with help. We got in the car. I did get sick along the way, but we got there. And that hadn't happened for 10 days. That much body of mind working. Exertion. And mind you, I should never have been able to put one foot in front of the other on a walker. So we get there, we get checked in, we get back in the room. They put in an IV of medicine and heavy pain meds. And for that moment, I was like, this pain is gone for half a second because it just goes right into your body, And I was like, the relief and the clarity that pain lowering a little bit gives you, you can then come up with a plan and you can give the play-by-play and you can be coherent, right?
Right. Yeah.
Right. And without saying things that I'm not proud of, because let's be real, pain will make you like those movies where you see the gremlins come out of the body.
Yeah,
that was me.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. That was me. Not proud. My mom claims she forgives me, but I know sweet Jackie was raised in the South as a Southern lady, and she has not heard.
There were some new words.
Sorry, Mom. But we got there, and long story short, the doctors go in, they do their thing, and he tells me when he comes in, and this dude, he walks in with swagger. And you hear about these neurosurgeons, right? That they're so smart for their own good that they're not personable. Not the case. Like, this dude was calm and collected and handsome, and walks in, slicked back hair, and he's like, "We've got you. I've never seen anything like this." So the MRI actually projected my spine, which should be like a straightish line with some little jagged pieces in it, right? So at the bottom of mine, it was straw-like fluid.
What?
So the straight line was blurred significantly. And so he's like, we're gonna clean this up. You may not walk. And he knew I was a soccer player. He knew I ran almost daily.
And that you're a mom of two.
He goes,
I mean, yeah.
And we've got you. And in the middle of something not fun for our family too, a divorce. And like, what does that look like if I can never walk? Or like that, all of these things were going through my head. And quite honestly, I was still at that moment, I don't know if I want to live through this. And I'm not proud to say that. I'm really not, because there are people dealing with way worse than what I was going through. But your perspective is off, right? When you're in these moments, it's all about my pain
I thank you for being transparent with that, because a lot of us aren't, I mean, I've been there as well, but I don't know that I've been extremely transparent about that. So I do appreciate that transparency.
Well, and a lot of it's reflection too. Like, I definitely didn't feel the way then that I do now. It was the why me. It was the everything you hear through pain and trauma,
disappointment,
and hurt. You hear about that, right? So I did not have clarity. But when I woke up from surgery and was in recovery, and these sweet nurses were standing over me, and I was like, I'm going to be okay. And they're like, "Sweet girl, you're hot." Like, you don't know that. Like, they didn't want me to get too ahead of myself. I'm like, I'm going to walk. I mean, I'm going to be fine. I knew when I woke up, everything was going to be okay. It was different, but it's going to be okay. Just because, y'all, that pain, that just debilitating, took every breath out of me. It wasn't there. I was in surgery pain, but I know what that is. I've had C-sections. I've had surgery. It hurts. It does, but I can deal with it. And I don't need pain medicine to deal with it. But so when I woke up, I was like, take the pain pump out. I'm good. Let's walk. And they're like, we don't know that you can. So anyways, I wake up, I tell them again, I'm good. They left the pain pump in for the minimum amount of time, which I can't remember what it was, but we get that out, and haven't been on a pain pump since. Had several rounds of pain medicine, mainly at night, but did not leave the hospital needing any. We did find out on day 3 of post-op, though, that the infection was something pretty darn serious. And so that's when another moment came to me that I'm like, am I going to die? So the infection has different phases, and this specialist comes in that's from, I think, the Center for Disease Control, and you hear about these people and you think about hazmat suits and all of that. But
okay, so it wasn't like an ET situation.
No. It was during the pandemic, so you would think people would be kind of walking in with these,
thinking,
these moments, but no. And he storms in like Kramer did, on time, but like door swinging. Not a cool dude by any means, but he walks in like all jolly, and he says, "We've got it, we've got it." And I'm like, this poor dude, he was never chosen for dodgeball. He was never like the cool kid. But by golly, I want him on my team because he loves his job.
Love it.
And anyways, they came to the bottom of what the infection was, and they were going to have to treat it the most extreme. So that's when I knew I was going to be very sick for a long time. They brought a machine in, and then in my bicep, they inserted a PICC line, which kind of fishtails through some arteries and veins, or whichever goes in, I think. Anyways, and put some really high potent medicine in there for 8 weeks straight. I infused it through this big old softball, and I had to wear a fanny pack, and had home health nurses and coming in to change that and do blood draws and check that I had enough in my system to kill this infection. It came in a really big cooler on my doorstep every day, but the infusions took between 8 and 9 hours every single day. You could
Wow.
taste the medicine,
Yeah.
and you were freezing cold. So while that started and I got home, we also had this
Yep.
snowmageddon. You may have
Yep.
heard in Dallas. We lost all power and all heat. So I had another challenge the big man was putting me through, which was we're going to infuse freezing cold medicine into your body for 9 hours straight and take away the heat
Wow.
in your
Yeah.
home.
Yeah.
Live through that. So we got through that and that infusion, and it was a lot. It's basically, it's killing the stuff in your body. So you feel like you have the flu
Mm-hmm.
for 9 weeks, 8, 9 weeks. But again, to me, I could deal with that because it
Right.
wasn't that. I mean, I know pain now. I know pain. So there's nothing is going to beat me because I
Uh-huh.
came back from that. And, I pushed and pushed and pushed. I never used a walker again for long, for short kind of distances. They said I may never walk again. Not only did I walk, I started
Amazing.
running again. So that all ended. The surgery was February 2nd, 2021, and I started running in maybe August and then quickly stopped by October because it's just too hard on a back with this much
Uh-huh.
hardware inside. So I do other things now, but I am healthy. I'm strong. Most of my hair has come back. I lost a lot of hair through killing just all the stuff in your body. So I got to reboot my head and reboot my life in so many ways. The pandemic, I had built up a business of my own, a consulting business that I'm so proud of and was passionate about. And one by one, lost every client during the pandemic, had to move out of our family home and figure out life in two separate
Yeah.
homes. And then in October, November of that year, I started a new career and here I am. So it's interesting now just in everyday life to see the stuff that kind of slaps you, and it slaps hard, right? So it can be anything like this morning, my kids wanted to wring
Yeah.
their necks, right? I
Right.
love
Right.
them unconditionally, but there are days that I'm like,
Yes.
come on, big man, like I don't like them, and that's all right, right?
Those are the
It's
days
all
that you're
right.
like, okay, you can go to
But
college. Like, yeah. But yesterday I didn't
yeah,
want you to go,
yeah,
but today you can go if you're going to act like that. Yeah.
no, right, right. And it just goes kind of up and down. But this perspective of there is nothing I can't do now,
So
nothing,
I think that's so
because
interesting you
I
said
beat that.
that because just going back to when you were in that extreme pain where you felt like, I will not live through this. If I could
Mm,
walk, I would have taken my own
mm,
life. Right. I mean,
mhm.
the strength and endurance and knowing what you've gone through and what you actually survived. In retrospect, do you see that setting you up to where you are now of just knowing how strong of a person God created you to be? Did that give you strength? Okay.
Yes and no. Yes and no. So let me explain that. So I do for sure see it now. I did not see it then. I don't claim to be having this like angelic moment. I very much see it now, but I think he's setting me up for
Yeah.
something greater.
He always is, isn't he?
So that's why I'm like, you see why he did this? And I'm like, I think he's still working because there have just been these little snippets, even in the last couple weeks, that I'm like, I know what I'm
Like
meant
little God
for.
winks.
And
Yeah.
yeah, it's like, it's just a sacred, like those little
Mhm.
sacred whispers, And I see snippets of that even in my kids. And I'm so grateful. And I hesitate to say this. I would almost choose going through that again to give me where I am now with
Uh-huh.
perspective and
Mhm.
faith. And like, I think faith is a word that we all love. It's warm, but when you know it and you have lived through it and you
Yes.
feel it,
Yes.
it's different. It's so hard for me to explain because I was put through a faithful journey because of my mom and because of my parents. But I didn't live faith because you kind of have to be rocked
I
to it, I
agree.
think. I don't know. I'm no expert. I just feel like something has changed in me. I'm not perfect. I have moments of for sure weakness and for sure moments that I'm still not proud of. But in the grand scheme of things, something happens at work, I go, you cannot beat me. You cannot. And that's not being arrogant. It's just like, I've been through worse. Like, this is really nothing. And you are no one in my journey of where I'm going. And I say that because I'm like, where we're going, that's why I'm like, he's not done. Is like, once you have that faith that everything is going to work out, it may not be fun. It may be horrific, but there's just a different feeling that comes over you, and like to your soul. And for me,
it's a tremendous amount of amount of peace that you can't put into words, right?
And he really washed out a lot of yucky in my life.
Wow.
Isn't that weird? Because I had to flush out.
That is just,
think about that for 8-9 hours every day. I was literally flushing that out. And there is so much good.
There's
even
so much of a
then
picture right there when you were like, when he was infusing you with that 9 hours of cold drip to kill the infection. I mean, it's almost like a picture of him also just washing out the yuck. And just
it's wild.
That's beautiful.
It's a wild moment that you want to be able to share in an eloquent way. And I'm still working on that because I do feel like I have something to share. You know, I never shy away from a microphone. I love to share the story. I would love to get better at sharing it. But for me, that's the walk right now. And it's come in little nuggets too, that it gives me moments of high school's really, really hard sometimes. And it gives me moments of like, I got you. I've been through worse. And I've been able to share with the boys lately, Lincoln, the youngest, he actually didn't know until a coach said to him that they'd been we're praying for your mom, buddy. And, all of FCA, Fellowship of Christian Athletes, were praying for your mom. And he was like, because we guarded him so much from divorce, from pain, from I very well could have died.
You had to guard him from the what ifs.
Who knows? And I don't know that Joe and I did it perfectly guarding them so much, but I think now he's starting to get it. And I was able to share with him recently, he's going through some, just mean kid stuff. And I said, there are times that the big man calls us in, right? And I was tagged in, Lincoln. I was tagged in. I said, now that I was on a really rough path had it continued. And all I know is you're being called and groomed for something tremendous. For what that kid is going through right now, the big man has huge plans for him because it's there. This world is ripping him open just like I was. So it gives me this perspective to relate that I don't think would have been fresh enough.
But you hadn't have gone through
my teenage years weren't as hard as his, right? And so kids now are just going through so much more. I think I needed a refresher to be able to be a backbone for him. And I don't know that I could have done that. Wow. I really don't. I probably would have done the I'm not raising snowflakes soapbox like I always do. Like, get back out there, that kind of thing. Like, you can't pick your bosses, you can't pick your, that kind of rah-rah. But now I'm like, Lincoln, you are being groomed. You are being molded for something great. Just trust me.
That kind of like, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but like that kind of realization that and ultimately, there is something so much greater. Where we are going, there is not any of this peace and this chaos. I mean, I think that what our kids go through right now, the way that kids are so mean, especially in high school and junior high, it's ruthless. But there is that promise that one day there will be no more. But then that's also just proof of an enemy living in a fallen world, And so that's another reason why our hope is above and not around us, right? I mean, that's just like another scenario of leading them towards God and his goodness and wanting that goodness instead of what is the meanness around us.
I do. And I think too that it takes all of us, we've always heard the cliche, it takes a village, right? Um, Lincoln, unfortunately, is wired like his mama. He's soft. He's so soft, but that kid is
like
fierce.
His mama.
And I hope so. I hope he gets it. He was doing a Bible verse a day, and I'm like, okay, buddy, keep going that path. And I wish that he had more exposure to that in his life, especially with men. Yeah, I can do a lot of things. I can't. I'm not as great at knowing how to be a man, but he's got great things ahead of him. I think both of them do, and I pray so hard for all these kids, all of them, even the mean ones, because this world is so different than it was when we were younger, and that was not too long ago. But anyways, I think everyone has a story to tell. I'm sure there are many that do it very eloquently, and I'm learning. But I'm telling you, you had asked me before this started for a Bible verse that kind of stands out. And of course, it's one that I've been quoting since we started Mission Moms way back when. And it's Proverbs 3:27. And it says, "Do not withhold good from those to whom it is due, when it's in your power to act." And I think that when I found that verse and started Mission Moms, it meant one thing, and what it means now is totally different to me. But isn't that funny, right? Because that's what the Bible's supposed to do. It's supposed to inspire with you, right? And so for me, then it was, teach, serve, act is what I kind of heard in that verse, and teaching our kids to serve in the community and act upon their God-given goodness. It's up to us as adults to use it and train it like we do swinging a bat, that it becomes muscle memory, right? Now that means to me is don't withhold good from those to whom it is due. You know that turd face that's being a turd?
To Lincoln. Yeah.
Be bigger. My knee-jerk reaction is to flip the whip.
Like your human reaction. Yeah. Like the flesh reaction is. Yeah.
And, but as I look further into that, it's like this verse has been one that we all quote and have been quoting for, 15-ish years or so. And now it means you have a power every single day to do something good and put good into the world. I was just telling the boys this, like, you want to complain about someone, you want to complain about a coach and playing time and this and that. Go put good into the world. Go lift someone up. Go do something good, because I promise you it's going to come back some way. So maybe it's that, oh, you saw a pretty rainbow. Or maybe it's that was a stellar game I just had. Or maybe it's all these little things that we think just happen or coincidences. I'm like, no, you're putting that out there. So it's coming back.
Yeah.
It will. And so to me, that verse has just so evolved. It's in your power to act every single day. So go put good out there, and it comes back. Whether that's service, community service, Mission Moms, whether that's lifting up a teammate, whether that's turning a cheek in a bold way. What if, who knows what that is? What if that's sitting in a conference room and watching someone belittle you and say, have a blessed day?
I mean, like Christ did, like, he turned the other cheek,
It's the toughest thing in the world to do. But I honor and respect those that can do it well, because it does change the trajectory of someone's day and someone.
Same here. I'm the mom that kicked out of the baseball field, for yelling at the ump. So I need to, I should have said have a blessed day, but I didn't.
Well,
so I get
it. Last night, the coach on the opposing team did come to the fence and respond to my words. So
we're a work in progress. Yes.
Always. It's not always
progress over perfection.
Grace that flows out of our mouths. It's not always grace, but my little monkey, I am proud of you for standing up for that umpire, because sometimes they do need bless their hearts.
Bless their heart.
And we're thankful to get to play. We're thankful to get to play the game, and that they came to help us do it. Right. So there are a million ways to go about our day. I just think if we keep nudging each other to put good out there, it's going to be a darn good place for all of us to lay our head at night.
And to know that God has such a purpose for each and every single one of us on this earth.
I mean, look at how far we've come, you and I, from accounting class to moving to Dallas on a whim and flooding our apartment. And now, thank God we have our boys so close in age. And I am absolutely thrilled at the circle that God has given us to reunite on the campus of University of Arkansas with our oldest boys that are 3 weeks apart.
Amazing. Another chill bump moment.
It was meant to be, right?
Like who knew? God knew.
Look at this crazy journey.
I know. Well, I have to tell you, we have had so many conversations in our friendship, but this was just my ranks as my top most favorite one. And I just thank you for your transparency and just I have loved just sitting here with you, and I could go on for another 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 hours, but just listening to the way that the Lord has moved in your life and saved your life. And you shine and you sparkle so bright. And thank you for doing that.
Well, thank you for putting good into the world, because that's what this is doing. I mean, this technology, this vehicle is allowing you a great space for us to share goodness. And I think each one of the testimonies that you're going to get to be part of are going to have these same little winks at you and these little whispers. And then we get to put together this, this storybook. Remember the books we used to put together for our kids and those little photo books? Now we're getting to put together a journey book with you that looks a little different, right? We get to use technology instead of craft paper, and we get to pull good stuff together. We get to put all these little memories together.
No, it's because of God. It's all to glorify Him. You're
His servant. And I'm glad that we chose to wear the same shirt.
We've always had good taste in clothes, haven't we?
So funny. So funny.
Okay, sweet friend.
I know that's your first love, and then the good Lord.
Okay, sweet friend.
But thank you guys so much. I can't wait to be part of your journey, and even more so, I can't wait to hug your neck on campus.
You give the best hugs. Best hugs. Okay, well, I'll talk to you soon. Okay, thank you.
Much love, y'all.
Bye, girl. Thanks so much for listening. I'd love for you to join me on Instagram and YouTube at bsandtpodcast. That's B as in blood, S as in sweat, A-N-D, T as in tears, podcast. And be sure to subscribe so you don't miss a single episode, reminding you that the battle has already been won.